Welcome back to Morning Dose. Our careers may not be going anywhere because we're being held back by what's called the career myth. Yeah, experts wrote about this in the Harvard Business Review. Many people believe careers are supposed to follow sort of a linear path, but that belief may be holding us back because it's no longer the case that we can expect occasional chances to advance up the career ladder. Instead, the suggestion is that we're more likely to succeed if we embrace uncertainty by shaking things up, going for a completely new job, maybe in an entirely different industry, without a final destination in mind. That sounds scary, right? So we're now joined by quarter-life career coach Tracy Timm to sort of walk us through this. It does sound scary because, I think for a lot of us, we have this idea of, who we want to be when we grow up and the career that we would dream of having. So how do we get our minds to sort of transfer to a state of maybe there's some uncertainty along the way, but it doesn't mean you're not going to be successful? That's hard.
Yeah, it is. It's really challenging. And career conversations are always a little scary, right? Because we tie up our identity in our career. But the way I like to think about it is imagine that you're at a bus stop, right? You're at the bus stop to catch the bus to go somewhere, right? That's the old way of looking at a career. You're at a job and you're waiting for proof that you're in the right place. You get an advancement, you get some kind of salary raise, right? And so you're hoping that the promise of you being there is actually going to pay off.
Right.
But the people who are winning in their careers now are actually making progress towards something more purposeful.
So not looking at it as, okay, I started here doing this job. My next goal in 2 years is to be promoted to this next position. And then, within 15 years, I own the company, which by now it should be owning the company.
Yeah.
But that we have to take that mindset away and say, okay, what do I want from this career?
Yeah. And actually the people who are winning are the ones who are aligning what they want to accomplish in this part of their career with something that the company really wants to accomplish, because those are the people that they want to attract, engage, and retain. They're the ones that companies are spending money to find. So if they can really align themselves with something that they know the business is trying to accomplish, that really helps with staying power.
Yeah.
And it helps them to get to the next point.
So does that mean taking on maybe a new challenge within the company, something that may not be in your job title? Does it mean maybe going over to a different department and poking your head in and saying, hey, what are you guys doing over here?
Yes. I mean, I think we as employees need to understand that we're a cost center for businesses for the most part, right? Companies are paying us and they're hoping that the salary they pay us is going to pay off. So if you can show your leadership, management, that there's a way that you're actually contributing to the bottom line, that you're really moving the needle, that makes you totally invaluable.
Let's talk about some of the clients without naming names who come in and meet with you. Is it when they get to a certain point in life, certain age, or certain amount of years invested in a job that they start to have of these concerns, and that you sort of guide them on how to be more valuable in the company?
Yeah, I would say the majority of people that I work with are these amazing, high potential, high performers who have reached this point in their career where they're no longer okay with living by someone else's definition of success, that it's drained their physical and their mental energy and their health, and they really want to find something that they love to do every day, and they would love to work even more if they really did enjoy what they were doing every day.
So how do you guide people, because there are probably folks maybe in here or at home who are listening to this, how do you guide people who feel like they are stalled in their career? They've put in the work, they make good money, but they don't feel fulfilled. What do you say to get them motivated again?
Yeah, it's the number one thing that I deal with, people saying they're stuck, they're trapped, because we get in this sort of vicious downward spiral when we're unhappy at work, and it causes us to not be that much more engaged, which then causes us to be even more miserable. So first and foremost, I think you have to understand what matters the most to you at this point in your career, and then align your next step in your career with those deeper core values. That usually brings out the best in us, honestly, because we're living our truth, we're living our purpose. And when you can align that with your career, you've never been more happy and engaged in your life.
Have you ever said to someone, maybe you're just on the wrong path? I mean, how do you know that maybe what I thought was how do you know that maybe what you thought was your goal is not, and maybe take those skills now and transfer them to a totally different career?
My very first job was on Wall Street. I do nothing close to that anymore. So constantly I'm interacting with people who are making big shifts, big industry shifts, or even larger big picture life changes. And again, if you go back to who you really are and what you want deep down, sort out everybody else's limiting beliefs, sort out everybody else's definition of success, what your parents wanted you to do, what your best friend is doing, and live honestly and truthfully to what you want to accomplish, that's really the ticket. And it's the number one thing that's keeping people from really engaging in their careers, is that they are living up to somebody else's expectations.
Yeah, because you mentioned you were on Wall Street. That's a totally different shift now, working for yourself and coaching others. How do you get past that fear of failure? Oh, because I think that's you probably hear this from your clients
all
as
the
well.
time.
That fear of failure, like, okay, I'm going to make this major change, but I don't want to disappoint everyone around me. I don't want to feel like I failed. How do you get past that fear of failure, that I didn't follow the whole career myth, or I'm going to change careers altogether?
I had to redefine failure for myself, and I also had to realize, so my background is behavioral psychology, if you can believe Wall Street and behavioral psychology exist in one body.
You had a whole case study.
They do. So what I realized is, actually in the research, there's only two types of regrets. There are regrets for things you did and regrets for things you didn't do, and that's it. And regrets for things you did are bad, right? You feel guilty, etc. But there's a beginning and a middle and an end to that story, which your brain is happy about, right? Because at least it's resolved. But for things you didn't do, there's an infinite number of possibilities, and thus an infinite number of possible regrets, right? So what I tell people is that you'll never regret doing something more than not doing it. So that's how I had to get over my fear of failure, is that, okay, even if I try this but I fail, at least I tried and I know the outcome, and I won't have to play that what if, coulda, woulda, shoulda game the rest of my life.
Well, we learned so much from a quarter-life career coach, Tracy Timm. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are not failures, everybody.
Thank you.
Shane and Amy.
I tell myself that every morning.